Hey everybody, welcome back. In this video I'm going to show you how to play the second guitar solo from the classic Van Halen song D.O.A. Now just like when I did the first solo from this song, tapping this one was a bit challenging, especially when it came to the whammy bar parts. But I was up for the challenge and I'm really excited to share it with you guys because I've never seen anyone tab it correctly, and I'm really talking about the entire solo. People always take a lot of liberties and shortcuts, so this will be a lot of fun for me. Now if you're a fan of the band, I've got over 50 Van Halen related lessons here on my channel, so make sure you check those out. And hitting that subscribe button will allow you to catch all my videos as soon as they're available. Hitting the thumbs up does help my videos get a little bit more exposure, so I always appreciate that. And then if you've got any questions or comments for me, leave those down below and I'll attempt to answer the questions as time allows. Now the next thing you want to do, if you haven't done this already, is tune your guitar down 1/2 step, just like the original. Well, the original is roughly 1/2 step down, but close enough. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play both solos again for you, this time slowly and then at normal speed with the tabs on the screen. That way the more advanced players can get through this more quickly. Then after that, for everybody else, I'm going to break it down note by note. Let's go. All right, now I almost did not add this part of the lesson in. I'm doing this last minute. That's why I'm playing a different guitar and I'm wearing a different shirt. But right before the solo, there's a dive bomb, right? And most people just hit open E and then dive. But if you listen carefully to that left speaker where the guitar, lead guitar track is in, and better yet, if you listen to that isolated guitar track that you can find on YouTube, you'll hear that not only does Eddie do a dive bomb with the low E, he also does one at the second fret of G. And he kind of does like a little rake over the D string before he hits the G. Slight pinch harmonic. On top of the... So I just want to call that out because most of the time you'll see people play it with just the low E dive bomb. And again, while I don't consider it technically part of the solo, I just wanted to call that out. All right, let's jump into section 1. Okay, here's section 1 at normal and then slow speed. All right, we're going to break it up into 2 boxes, and in the first, so we're going to do a unison bend here. You've probably done these before if you're going to tackle this solo. You play one note and then bend another note up to the same note. So it's 14 of B, 16 of G, you're going to bend 16 of G up. And then while you're holding that, at the top of the bend, you're going to dip down 4 times. All right, in the second box we play... So we start by bending up at the 17th of G, a full step. Most of the time people will add in the B string and make it a unison bend, 15 of B and 17 of G, as opposed to just 17 of G. Either way you should be fine, but when I listen to the isolated guitar track, you can find here on YouTube, it sounds like Eddie only hit the 17 of G. Again, either way you should be fine. Then we're going to play a unison bend with 14 of B, bend up at 16 of G. Then another unison bend, 10 of B, bend up at 12 of G. And then another one, 12 of B, bend up at 14 of G, and hold it, do a whammy bar dip. Slide down, pull off to open G. I know some people, if you're not used to my lessons, you might laugh that I included that open G pull off, but it's there if you listen closely. I try to get all the little nuances and things in the playing, everything. I want you to have the option of leaving stuff like that in or out. All right, here's that second box again. Now I'm going to tie both boxes together, and I'll play section 1 one more time, slowly and then at normal speed. All right, let's move on to section 2. Section 2 goes like this at normal and then slow speed. Now in the first box, we'll play. So we start by raking over the D string to hit 8 of G and then bend up a full step. 3 whammy bar dips. Then in the second box. So we've got more unison bends here. At first we've got 7 of B, bend up at 9 of G twice. And then 9 of B, 11 of G. Slide down. All right, now I'm going to tie both boxes together and play section 2 one more time for you, slowly and then at normal speed. All right, let's move on to section 3. Here's section 3 at normal and then slow speed. All right, we're going to break that up into 2 boxes, and in the first. Okay, now this box is entirely on the G string. We're going to start at the 4th fret, bend up a half a step, come back down, pull off to 2. Then we're going to do some tremolo picking. You probably know what that is, but just in case, that's when you just pick a note really fast. And you can see the 3 little lines above those notes. That symbolizes tremolo picking. So instead of counting it out like, oh, I'm going to hit 4, 8 times or whatever, it's better not to count it. Just go with what feels right. And that's why I tabbed it this way. So you wouldn't think about counting it. You would just start tremolo picking and go with what feels right. So we go from 4 to 6 to 9 to 6. And notice I've got the little slides there. That's because you're doing it all with one finger. You could do it with your ring finger, but I like to do it with my index finger. It just positions me better for the next part, in my opinion, but either way you should be fine, regardless of which finger you use. All right, let me play that first box a few times slowly. Now in the second box we play. That little open A at the end, I'll come to that, okay? So we start on the G string, 9, slide to 11, and then 9. It's almost like a semi-pinch harmonic on the second 9. And then 11, slide to 14, 11. 14, slide to 16. And then 14, a little quick little tremolo. And then open A sound. Like, I think, Eddie's hand lifted up. Something like that. It's there. That's why I tabbed it. Let me play that second box a few times slowly. All right, now I'm going to tie both boxes together and play section 3 one more time, slowly and then at normal speed. All right, let's move on to section 4. Here is section 4 at normal and then slow speed. So in the first box, I could have tabbed it as 17 2 or 3 times, but I think it's twice. But I decided to tab it as a tremolo pick. It just feels right, considering what we've already done. And then 14 of B. Okay, and then you're going to bend up at 17 of high E, about 1 3/4 steps up. Let's play that first box a few times. Then in the second box. So we're going to rake over D, G, and B, and then hit 14 and 17. And then 17 of B up a full step, wide vibrato. Then in the third box, slowly. So on the B string, 14 hammer to 17, pull off to 14. 16 G, 14 B. So far in that third box. Then 16 of G, up about 3/4 of a step, just kind of flat of a full step. Back down, pull off to 14. Back to 16, wide vibrato, slide down. Let me play everything in that third box again. Now I'm going to tie all 3 boxes together, and I'll play section 4 one more time for you, slowly and then at normal speed. Okay, let's move on to section 5. Here's section 5 at normal and then slow speed. This was kind of an awkward one. Tabbing it was awkward too, especially all the whammy bar dips. It's pretty hard to replicate Eddie's phrasing when he starts doing the whammy bar dips, because he's just kind of very loose and just kind of going for it. So, cut me some slack here. I'm going to explain this as clearly as I possibly can. So in the first box, we'll play. We're going to break that up further. Now we're going to see 3 green boxes. So in the first, you're raking over D and G to hit 13 on B, hammer to 14. And then in the second box, you're going to play 17, 14, it's all on the B string, and it's all hammer-ons and pull-offs. 17, 14, 13, 14, 17, 14, 13, 14. Okay, without the whammy bar dipping. Okay, 17, 14, 13, 14 twice. Now try that, adding in some whammy bar dipping. Again, getting it exactly like Eddie with the dipping is challenging, so just go with what feels right. And then in the third green box, we're going to play, again, hammer-ons and pull-offs on the B string. And it's a continuation from the last box, right? You're going to continue the hammer-ons and pull-offs. So it's 17, 14, 13, 14, 17, 14, 13. Without the whammy bar dip. Now try adding in 1 whammy bar dip in there. Something like that. I told you I'm going to try and explain it as clearly as I can. Now let me tie all 3 green boxes together and play it again for you, slowly. Again, just go with what feels right with those whammy bar dips. Now in the next box, so it's all on the B string again. 17, bend up a full step, come down, pull off to 14, and then 17 of B, wide vibrato. My fingering may be awkward there. It's because I'm still in that position I had where I was doing the 17, 14, 13 stuff. Now in the final box, we'll play slowly. So we're going to play 16 of G, and then we're going to play 17 of B we're going to pluck it with a finger instead of picking it. And then 15 of G. Okay, so far. And then we'll play 16B, 14G twice. The 16 is plucked with a finger. Okay, G string's picked, B string is plucked. Let me play that last box a few times slowly. All right, now I'm going to tie all these boxes together and play section 5 one more time slowly and then at normal speed. Okay, let's move to the final section, section 6. Here's section 6 at normal and then slow speed. Let's break it up into 3 boxes, and in the first, let me play that slowly. All right, now everyone gets this section wrong. I'll show you the way most people play it, and you can decide which way you want to play it, but this is what I hear when I listen to the isolated guitar track slowed down. So we start on the G string, 16th fret, bend up a half a step, back down, pull off to 14. Now here's the part where people get it wrong. You're going to bend up at the 17th of B quick, just flat of a full step, and then 14 of high E, 17 of high E up 1.5 steps. That part happens really quick. Most people miss it. Instead, what they do is, instead of the 17 bend up at B, they'll slide from 17 to 19, like that, and then play 17 of high E up a half a step, 1.5 steps, sorry, like this. That's what most people do. But again, when I listen to the isolated guitar track, I can clearly hear what's going on there. Instead, it's bending up at the 17th of B, 14 of high E, and then 17 of E. It happens really, really quick. One thing you could do is you could do the sliding technique, right? So instead of bending up at 17 of B, just quickly slide from 17 to 19, and then 14 of E, 17 up. That would be like this. As opposed to... Either way, you should be fine. But again, I want to give it to you guys the right way. All right, now in the second box, we'll play slowly. Now I'm going to break that up further into 2 green boxes, and in the first. So what you're doing is you're going to rake over A, D, and G to hit 14 of B, hammer to 17. And then you're going to do 5 whammy bar dips, pull off to 14. Don't count it, just go with what feels right. All right, and then in the second green box, we'll play. So we start with 16 on G and 17 on B. You're going to bend that G string up and down a half a step. Then you're going to pull off to 14, hammer to 16. Give it a whammy bar dip, and then pull off to 14. And bring that down with the whammy bar. Let me tie the 2 green boxes together and play them slowly. Now I'm going to tie all the boxes together and play section 6 one more time for you slowly and then at normal speed. All right, let's wrap it up. That was my lesson on how to play the second guitar solo from the classic Van Halen song D.O.A. If you found it helpful or informative, I would appreciate a thumbs up, and please hit that subscribe button to catch all my content as soon as it's available. And if you've got any questions or comments, leave those down below, and I'll attempt to answer the questions as time allows. Until next time, rock on.